Moving on to item 11, questions by I get too close, sorry. Questions by elected members. We have 5 questions on notice today from Councillor Nick Allen, Jane Cox, Steve Cox, Glenn Bluff and Cynthia Ransom. Yep. The first question from Councillor Allen is as follows. Prior to Doncaster Sheffield Airport opening in 2005, TUI signed an agreement to operate from the airport prior to the opening. Will the Mayor confirm how many airlines have entered into contractual agreements to recommend services in the future and how many airlines have agreed ahead of terms? Mayor Jones, would you like to reply?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Allen. To respond to this matter would start to outline the commercial arrangements in place to support the reopening of the airport. As such, this question is deemed commercially confidential and therefore I cannot provide you with a response.
Councillor Allen, you may now ask a supplementary question. If you wish, can I remind the councillors asking questions on notice without any supplementary question must arise directly out of the original question or reply. Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Thank you. As you know, Ros, questions submitted on notice go through a process with the question planning and they have to be accepted. And had these issues been brought to my attention then, you could have rejected the question, I could have rephrased it, you could have given a more substantive response. Because right now this simply appears to be quite dismissive. You didn't have to give me absolute specific details and names. You could have outlined just a more generalised sort of, scheme of events that's been happening. You could have at least attended to it that way. Had you brought that to my attention when I put the question in, I'm sure I could have put in a more or very different question and had a more reasonable and substantive response.
Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
I see the questions coming and it's up to someone else, i.e. the monitoring officer, to look and say whether they are a reasonable question or not. I've given you the answer. It's about commercial sensitivity, so therefore I can't provide a further response. But thank you for your question.
I will now move to the second question from Councillor Jane Cox. The question is as follows. Minutes from the MCA board meeting of the 12th of January 2022, 6 months before Peel's closure announcement, state that to be eligible for their requested funding and progress towards approval, a net zero target of 2040 should be brought forward to 2030, and that net zero target should include airline emissions. Page 26 of the MCA papers for the 12th of November 2024 state there are no such mandated requirement. Can you confirm that the bidding process of the new airport operator included the submission of a comprehensive net zero strategy and the MCA has not approved funding without this document being reviewed in advance, as was the stipulation levied upon Peel? Mayor Jones, would you like to reply?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Cox. It isn't for the City of Doncaster Council to comment on historical matters considered by other bodies. However, what we can say is that bidders submitted business cases that support our ambition to create a hub for sustainable aviation-related industries. Thank you for your question.
Councillor Cox, you may ask a supplementary question if you wish.
Thank you, Ross. Can I just say it's thoroughly disappointing that you're not answering any of these questions. I've been pulled up on social media by your Labour councillors for not asking these questions, even though we said at the beginning we would stay in the back. Now, Doncaster Council, Sheffield Doncaster Sheffield Airport is in Doncaster Council's remit. If we don't, as a council, understand what was put forward to South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority back in 2022, then we're doing our residents a disservice.
Mayor Jones, would you like to respond?
Again, you're given information updated as information can be put out there. Papers was put there when it was going out for people to come in, sensitivity to read. I believe some people did come in and look at what was being put out there, but this is the answer. At this moment in time, we can say that it isn't for us to comment on historical matters considered by other bodies. Thank you for your question.
I will now move on to a third question from Councillor Steve Cox. Will the Mayor specify the exact nature of the account she has been publicly claimed Peel refused to provide the SYMCA and the City of Doncaster Council in respect of 20 million loan, and if why the requirement differed from the other loans already granted at the time? Mayor Jones, would you like to reply?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Cox. Your question is more appropriately directed to South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority.
Councillor Cox, would you wish to make a supplementary question, please?
Thank you, Chair. And again, Ross, it's a question that's not been answered, and I'll echo what Jane said. We have been asked to keep out of it politically. And as in a conversation we had and regarding Labour members and not doing anything, we've done what you asked us to do. It's time now that we didn't do what you asked us to do. Now, yeah, but the question I am asking is of you, not of Oliver, it's of you, Ross. It would appear in your answer that Oliver speaks on your behalf constantly because you can't comment about things that go on historically in other authorities. So why can't you speak up for Doncaster?
Mayor Jones, do you wish to respond?
I continually represent and stick up for Doncaster, and you will be aware that as co-chair of the Business Recovery and Growth Board, we signed off the proposal investment subject to due diligence and financial checks. Thank you for your question.